Captain America Brave New World has finally released, and I decided to spend my Valentine's Day watching Captain America Brave New World at the cinema. No other plans. I was happy with that. And going into it, I heard that there was some negative feedback from the film, and obviously I am aware Marvel has been up and down recently, and that's been blatantly obvious. So I went into this one partially optimistic. I did take my expectations quite low. However, I was excited to see Red Hulk, and I really want to support Anthony Mackie as Captain America, because despite Steve Rogers always being my Captain America, I think Anthony Mackie does a great job as Falcon, and really wanted to support this film. So I went out to go see it. I bought my popcorn bucket, and I even bought the Red Hulk Funko Pop because I was ready to go into this film. And I can't lie, I thought this film was a lot of fun, and I just really enjoyed it. I'm going to be honest, I thought this was a really fun film. Is it a great film? Maybe not. But is it a fun and is it a good film? Yes, it is. So with that said, let's get started with the review. And I think just to start off, as I did just say, Anthony Mackie probably gives his best performance to Sam Wilson here. I mean, you know, he laid the ground when he was in Winter Soldier, and he's always been one of those fun side characters, you know, when he was in Infinity War, when he was in Endgame, and just, you know, with Steve Rogers and things like that. He's always just been a strong character, and he does in some way prove himself worthy as a Captain America successor, because you see he cares, he understands the importance of the shield, and he's willing to risk his life to save other people, and that is blatantly obvious during this film. So I really did appreciate that, and I just thought it was done better than it was in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I did enjoy this a lot more than I did Falcon and Winter Soldier. And I also thought Harrison Ford's Thunderbolt Ross was actually really, really great in this film. I mean, not saying that as I'm surprised, but he's never been a character that I've really liked that much. I mean, in Civil War, you're supposed to hate him, but just in general, as a character, he never really stood out to me that much. He does bad things, but he's never really had a proper arc. But in this one, they really give him an arc, and Harrison Ford really just does such a great performance where he's this grumpy old man, but he also has a lot of heart in his performance, and you can just really tell that. So it really does elevate the script a lot when there are some script issues. So I did really appreciate that. And I just thought that there was this, you know, certain level of heart, not a lot, but it actually, you know, made me feel a little bit of sympathy for him. So I enjoyed it. And I think another thing to point out is that this has got a bit of a darker tone to it, like much like Winter Soldier kind of thing. Because obviously we all know Thor: Love and Thunder was way too goofy. The Marvels was pretty goofy, and it's fine to get some goofy Marvel films. You have to have that tone balance. I just really enjoyed going back to the darker tone a little bit more. Like, it was quite a realistic atmosphere and things like that, and I haven't really heard people talk about this enough, but I really did connect with that. It didn't give me vibes of like Robert Pattinson's Batman film or anything like that. It didn't do things like that for me. However, I just really did appreciate it. You know, it was a bit like Winter Soldier, maybe, you know, not as strong tone-wise and story and things like that. However, just in general, I thought it was quite good. And beyond that, this film really gave me Phase 2 MCU vibes. You know, when they were quite standard MCU films. They were very, I don't really know what the like street level in a way. That was kind of what they were like, and you do get that vibe here. You know, this isn't multiverse. There's not a multiverse thing going on during this film. So it does feel like Infinity Saga setting up something big. That leads on to my next point, is that this film does feel like the most cohesive MCU film we've got. It ties up a lot of plot threads. You know, we pull from Captain America, obviously, Endgame. We're also pulling from Falcon and Winter Soldier, and we're over here, we're doing Eternals, and then we link that to Adamantium, which is going to connect to Wolverine and different characters like that, and the X-Men. So it does bring a lot together, and that's been one of my big issues with the MCU recently, is that just there's been too much stuff going on, and when is this going to connect? When are we going to actually connect what's going on and have a proper plot going on? And, you know, when you were watching in, you know, the lead up to Infinity War, you knew it was going somewhere. So, you know, I thought it was good, and I did enjoy that. So I'm kind of just going to go on to like my final positive. So Red Hulk, I do have a couple other things to talk about him. However, the actual Red Hulk scene that we get, the fight, is great. I really, really enjoyed it, and it was by far my favourite part of the movie. I thought it was really good. You know, there is build up to it, so you do know it's coming whether you have seen the trailer or not. So I thought it was a great fight scene. I really, really did enjoy it. It gave me a lot of vibes of Incredible Hulk with Abomination. So that's all I've got to say for the good, but now let's move on to the mixed aspects of the film. And there's just a couple of things which people have asked me as I've spoken to them about this film. So the first question is there a mid or a post-credit scene? There is one end credit scene right at the end. It's skippable. It's not great. If I'm honest, it's one of the weakest MCU credit scenes we've gotten, if I'm honest, because it's very like, they didn't really know what to do. I think I would have rathered them just not have done a credit scene, but I'm not going to say any more because it will just spoil it. Next thing, how long is Red Hulk in the film for? He is in the film for as long as the trailers show. I know there's been a lot of marketing, there's been popcorn buckets and things like that. He is in the film for probably about 5 to 6 minutes, and that's about it. Now, I went into it knowing that, and I think that is something which you should go into the film knowing if you are excited to see Red Hulk. He's not in it loads. The fight scene is good, but when I look at it, I really don't know how you could have done more Red Hulk, so I was okay with it, and the CGI on him looked flawless. Apart from that, just another thing is like homework. What do you need to watch? I don't like doing this because I know people don't like doing homework. Definitely watch Winter Soldier, just watch the Captain America films, Infinity War, Endgame as well. Incredible Hulk is definitely worth watching because it's like basically the Incredible Hulk 2 without the Incredible Hulk. But apart from that, I think they're like the ones that you'll be okay with. Eternals, maybe. It's not like definite, but it might be worth watching. So with all that said, let's get on to the bad. And I think one of my big nitpicks with this film is, apart from that Hulk fight scene, the action looked really rough. And I don't know what went wrong with it. It just, like, when you compare it to, like, the hallway scene in Guardians of the Galaxy, or basically any fight scene in Deadpool and Wolverine, it just doesn't hold up. And there's just a lot of just clunky punches flying around and things like that. And it's like in the opening fight scene, Captain America hits someone with a brick because he's not got his shield, and he's just getting thrown around. And it is a big common thing which they do address, that he hasn't taken the super soldier serum, so that is something which is addressed. And I'm not saying he needs to take the super soldier serum, but I don't know, it was like he was kind of getting beaten up pretty bad during some of these ones. So that was a bit of an issue for me. It wasn't awful, but, you know. And obviously this film has had a lot of reshoots, and I don't think the plot is that clunky. I think it could have been a lot worse, but there are a lot of plot lines and things which just feel really underdeveloped. I don't want to go into too much detail because I know it's going to spoil it and things like that. But I did feel like there was just somewhere, it's just like, we could spend a little bit longer on this, you know, things like that. And another thing which lines into that is the villain in this is not great. So I know that a common example is that the Funko Pops kept getting redesigned, and the Funko Pop of the villain is completely different to how he looks in the film. The design in the film does not look good, but you can just tell that he was a massive part of the reshoots. They were taking him out, changing things, and he's just not like, his motivations aren't very good. He's not actually as smart as they put him out to be and things like that. I mean, he does bad stuff, so he solidifies himself as a villain, but when you really look at it, like, he's just kind of a generic villain. There's not a lot of depth to him when you compare him to, like, Zemo or Red Hulk, or, you know, like, Red Hulk I thought was a much better villain, but still, like, he's not the main villain. So, I don't know, it was okay, but definitely could have been improved in a lot of ways. But my final nitpick with the film is just the green screens. I mean, as we know that there was a lot of reshoots and the budget wasn't as big as people anticipated it to be, but some of those green screens where they were doing reshoots are very, very poor. And it's, especially in the third act, it's very noticeable, because I would guess that that was where most of the changes happened, because that's like the big action sequence, so that requires like the most budget and things like that. So the green screen is very noticeably bad, and it's just kind of like the characters are put in front of a blurry background to make it like focus on them, but it looks even worse by doing that. I don't really know what they were going for. It might have just been that the actual like colouring looked bad in the cinema I was in, but I've noticed that other people have had the same issue, so I would guess that it wasn't just that. However, in general, I thought Captain America Brave New World was pretty good, and I do recommend that if you are a Marvel fan of any kind, you do go and give this film a go. Is it a perfect film? No. Is it an amazing film? No. But is it a fun, pretty good, and almost great film? Yes, it is. This film is incredibly overhated. I'm going to say it. That's probably going to be the title of this video. But in general, I really enjoyed Captain America Brave New World, and I will be watching it again. I might go to cinema to it again. I'm not quite sure yet. But in general, this is a great little film to watch if you're just, you know, having fun, Valentine's, things like that. So I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's good. It's not a masterpiece. However, it is a fun film. So let me know down below in the comment section if you've already seen it. What did you think of this film? So please do comment and subscribe, share it with your friends, family, and I will try and put out another MCU ranking at some point. I mean, we do have some other MCU films, Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four this year, which I'm very looking forward to. So maybe I'll wait. I'm not too sure. But yeah, so in general, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.